First of all, Africa is not a poor continent. It's not. It is a continent that has many resources. And Africa today is victim of many external spoilers that work against its stability.
Hello everybody, welcome once again to AfriPost. I believe wherever you're watching us from, you're doing great. Now, we have known that Africa is a continent that most European countries really desire to have a piece of, because as it is since our partitioning that happened in 1884, there has been interest from different European countries and even Western powers to really control Africa as it is. Different parts of our continent speak different languages. There are those that are Francophone areas, there are those that are Anglophone areas. So one European leader has really been vocal on the kind of exploitation that European leaders are really conducting in Africa. This is Italy's Prime Minister Meloni. There is this interview that was conducted by Fox News in United States, and Meloni really spoke her mind about what leaders are doing in Africa to really impoverish it and make it underdeveloped. Kindly watch this interview and then let's talk about it after the video. Take a listen.
And where, in my opinion, we weren't enough concentrated was Africa. I say it for I'm the direct neighbor. But first of all, Africa is not a poor continent. It's not. It is a continent that has many resources. Moreover, rare earth, metals, raw materials, 50% of arable lands. We're not taking care of that. And Africa today is victim of many external spoilers that work against its stability. It is something that can be used against us.
And with regard to Africa, the issue of China comes up.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you about that. Is China dominating or trying to dominate the continent and scooping up some of those raw materials and metals that you mentioned that are so critical to technology?
Absolutely, China has an important presence at the time in Africa. And well, I think it's normal that everyone tries to defend its national interests. The problem is if we are able to do that. I mean, what I don't really agree with is the approach that sometimes the West world had with these countries. For the idea I have is that we are always ready to give advices, but not so ready to give a hand. They don't trust us a lot. And I cannot say that they are completely wrong. That's why my opinion is that we have to change this approach. What I want to do is to bring investments in Africa. Bring investments not only to say we want to help. No, that's not geopolitics. If you want to do serious things, you have to do things that are useful for both. For example, now we have a problem in Europe about energy sources after the war. But Africa is potentially an enormous producer of energy, of every kind of energy, green energy, hydrogen, geothermic, they've got gas, they've got everything. So if we help them taking out and producing this energy, and we tie them with Europe, we will solve many problems together.
Let me ask you about immigration, because you have talked about 1,000 illegal immigrants coming in every day. Are they coming from Northern Africa? How are you dealing with this?
They are coming at the time, moreover, from Tunisia and from Libya. There are two difficult situations. Libya, we know. Tunisia is a nation that is risking financial default. There was a deal open with the IMF that was not so easy to close, also for the approach of the two interlocutors. But we've been beginning dealing with the president of Tunisia and some others. They come from Asia, for example, passing by Africa to come illegally to Italy. It's not something that we can manage only on the security side, but we have to fight the traffickers. what the traffickers are doing is incredible. I mean, this organization, they are becoming always more powerful. And they use their power and the money they do also against the state. We cannot allow mafia to decide who's coming to our countries.
Now, from that video, I think this is the only European leader that is very honest about what Europeans are doing in Africa. For instance, if you look at France, it has really conducted some of the worst things in Africa. And that is the reason behind the kind of coups that we find in the Sahel region. Prime Minister Meloni is really saying that much of the activities that we see, even the problem of immigration that is affecting Italy and other European countries, is because of the kind of challenges that Africans are facing out of the activities that Western countries have conducted in Africa to really impoverish it. She comes out and says that Africa is not a poor country. And in fact, no African is supposed to even leave their country to go and seek better opportunities outside the continent. For instance, she says the kind of minerals that Africa has, the kind of ability that Africa has, especially when it comes to power production. Like we know that some countries like Niger have some good quantity of uranium, and this is something that can be used in nuclear power production. Rivers are in Africa. We can use that for hydroelectric power production. We have natural gas sources where we can use those as a source for geothermal power. So Africa is really a continent that can contribute positively to the advancement and development of both Africa and also European countries. But Meloni comes out to say that one thing that leaders have done is that they have gone to Africa and imposed their decisions and their thoughts to Africa. In fact, they come as people who are advising and directing, and not as people who want to work as partners. When asked about the question of China, she says that every country must protect its interest everywhere. And therefore, it only depends on how each country comes into action, because most Western countries have created an imaginary war with China, and they are saying that China is not a country that should really be supported, and it's like it wants to recolonize Africa. But that is not the case. China is coming with a thought of developing Africa and also benefiting from the minerals and the resources that Africa has, because it is a quid pro quo method whereby you benefit from one and the other person also benefits. With the kind of negative activities that France has conducted in Africa, I think Meloni is very eloquent in her thought and in her presentation that Africa is not a poor country. Africa must rise and Africa should rise. I don't know what you think about this conversation. Please tell us your opinion down in the comment section. You can also like this video and also share. If you have not subscribed, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like it, and let's meet in our next video. Goodbye.